Hey, it's Jason. Thanks for tuning in to jamzDOTnet. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to be tinkering on this 2007 Land Rover L322. The new Ford Maverick has Android Auto. And on this 2007 Land Rover, I'm still rocking the original infotainment system. And at this point, that would be kind of an old system. And you can see here how it's very, even for 2007, seems a bit dated. You have your music sections. You have your map section. But most importantly, the map section's right here. But most importantly, it controls all of the 4x4 functionality. So if I want to go into a different mode, if I want to change my ride height, I would love to have Android Auto. And I'm going to talk about the Carpuride, which I'm going to mount right here, which is going to give me that functionality and allow me to have the audio go through the speakers. Tune in, watch the install, and I'll give you a discount code if you're interested in adding this to any of your vehicles. The install will be pretty much the same. Hey, it's Jason again with jamzDOTnet. As I discussed, I absolutely love this 2007 Land Rover Range Rover full-size L322. But what I don't love so much about it, because I got spoiled, as I mentioned in my Ford Maverick, the infotainment system's a little bit dated. And on a vehicle like this, it's not as easy to swap it out or put a new one in, because this controls the air suspension, lifting and lowering it, all kinds of stuff, the off-road capabilities, flick of a switch, I can go to snow mode, I can go to sand mode, I can do all kinds of stuff, and you can't just easily rip it out. Now, there are some that exist that do that. I just particularly don't want to heavily modify it. All of the cars in my car collection here at Jason and Jack, my preference is to have the original equipment. But, and 2007 would be nice to have some updates. This video is sponsored by Carpuride. Carpuride sent me this, and this is a in-vehicle multimedia solution. So what does that mean? What it means is it's going to give me a screen, and it's going to allow me to put it over the infotainment system, so that way I can still hook in, but most importantly, it's going to tether to my phone via Bluetooth. So I can have Google Maps, I can have Spotify, I can have Pandora, I can have TuneIn. Everything that I love will be available with the Carpuride, which has an HD display, it has a touchscreen, it gives you Bluetooth audio, it has auxiliary input, it has voice controls, wireless connectivity, everything you could want. So I'm pretty excited to get this installed in the car. And I'm going to take a very detailed video here today to show you the entire process. This is what the screen looks like. You'll notice it even has a camera built in. So when it's mounted, you can have forward-facing camera, or you can have a in-car camera. This would be really handy if you are a side hustle kind of person and drive Uber or Lyft and you want a video and have a camera inside of the car. That would be a really good thing for you to have. So I'm going to mount this, and I'm not going to do any specific hard wiring of any kind. I'm going to actually hook this up to the cigarette light adapter, and I'm going to run the cable for auxiliary onto the auxiliary input, or I guess it would be the input into the vehicle. I'm going to have to make a few changes to this install because of the 2007 Land Rover Range Rover L322. The cigarette adapter is in the armrest console, and the aux input, believe it or not, is in the back of the vehicle. So I'm going to have to run quite a bit of cable to get it there. If you are a professional installer, you're going to look at this video and say, I could have hardwired it. I could have tapped into the main unit for auxiliary input. Yeah, you could have. I could do a lot of things. But again, I'm going to keep this where at any point I can easily remove it. And at any point, it's a typical DIY install on the 2007 Land Rover Range Rover L322. So I'm going to hop right in. I'm going to unpackage this guy and give you a little bit more details about it. And then we're going to go through a rather lengthy install video. I'm not going to cut anything out. I'm going to show you the entire trials and tribulations of installing the Carpuride in a 2007 Land Rover Range Rover L322. Let's get right at it. We're going to start on packaging. I'm going to show you the additional materials I had to go buy and exactly what I intend to do from a mounting perspective. This is a sponsored video. Thank you, Carpuride, for saying, hey, we would love to have you install one on one of your cars in your car collection. It means a lot to me, and I hope that you get some value out of this video. Let's do it. Okay, let's get the Carpuride unpackaged and discuss exactly what's in here. First, the screen. It's a nice size screen. This is an Android Pixel XL. You can see it's about the same height as that, but it is significantly wider. So first, you're going to get the screen. It has a little protective coating on the camera on the back and on the actual screen, which is great. On top of that, we're going to have the adapter to charge it and to power it up, I should say. Really, I don't think this has a battery in it, so just to charge it. They give you quite a long cord, which this would probably reach to the armrest where I need it to reach. However, I got something else plugged in. I'm going to keep my primary webcam installed, and I'm gonna use this one kind of as a secondary. It comes with a few mounts. Oh, and it's nice to note that this still gives USB charging. So I have an adapter, which I'll talk about in a moment of how I'm gonna do that. This is the suction mount, and it looks like this extends out and gives you a little, yeah, okay, so that would be able to like hook up on the windshield, probably like that, or however you need to mount it. And I am going to use the suction mount. I don't want to tape anything. That's kind of like that leather soft dash Land Rover, so I don't want to tape anything to the primary dashboard. They do give you an auxiliary cable, but for my purposes, this was not going to be long enough. And that's simply because of how this looks like, probably a 4-foot cable. Because of how the Land Rover is set up. They give you this guy here, and they give you this other mount here, so you could physically mount this to the dash. Now, I'm going to talk to Carpuride and see if I can get one of these for my 1991 conversion van. Sneak peek. I may have one now, and I'll physically mount it to the dash if I do that. On top of this, you get a few instructions here. It is a 2.5-inch display, HD 2.5 HD touchscreen, but it is a 9.3-inch display, Android Auto, which is fantastic. It has the camera built in, and you can mirror your phone and Bluetooth and Siri and all that good stuff. So most of this is probably going to be how to use the UI. So you can switch between Apple Carplay and Android Auto. Wi-Fi video.
We like that.
Yeah, this looks very nice in terms of how to do about it. So again, most of the info here is how to use the UI. I want to focus a bit on the actual install. Now, there's a few changes I had to make, and let's talk about why I had to make those changes. So in the 2007 Land Rover Range Rover L322, and you're going to want to pay attention to this in any of the installs you do, the position I plan to mount it is right there on top of the dash, right? I think that's a great location to put it, and it's going to be basically above the other screen, but I don't want to block these vents, So I can't mount it right here because then these vents would get blocked. I don't want to block this screen because you still need it to change like ride height and all of that good stuff. You want to see it on the screen. I'm going to put it right here, and I'm going to suction it here. Now, I don't believe that's going to cause me any visibility issues. I'm concerned that if somebody shorter than me drives it, I guess they'll crank the seat up there. It could, but I'm pretty much the primary driver. Most cars would have a cigarette charger right here on an aux input, not on the Land Rover. What a mess in there, I know. That is the cigarette charger, okay? And it is currently charging the webcam that I already have mounted, which I'm keeping, and it is powering a cell phone. So I'm going to have to make a modification here. I'm going to basically eliminate all of this, and I've bought an extender, so I'm going to run one cable down, just like I did previously, into the glove box, where I'm going to have a splitter where I can charge 2 cigarette outlets, and I'll have plugins for 2 cigarette adapters, and I'll be able to have some USB charging. But the other little nonsense I have to deal with, again, this is unique to the Land Rover, the aux input is all the way back here. So I'm going to have to have an auxiliary cable that goes from here and all the way underneath, and I'm going to have to tack it to something back here or find an area I can put it in to go all the way here. I'm going to go under trim, and then I'm going to have to come all the way up, follow the back, and I'm going to have to go all the way to right here. So not that big of a deal, but in order to achieve that, I had to buy a few extra things. So the extra things I had to buy, $2.45 for some extra zip ties. I had to get this cigarette socket extender, basically. That's going to plug in to this guy. This will be in the glove box. It's going to give me, for the Carpuride, for my current camera, and one empty. It also has USB charging on top. I'll put a link to that. But I had to extend from the armrest all the way to the glove box, and I achieved that with this. This will plug in to the glove box. This is going to run all the way to the this is going to go in the armrest, this is going to run into the glove box, and this will be the cable. So then this will plug into the extender in the glove box, which would then enable me to power this by way of this cable and then my existing webcam. But then I had to also purchase some longer auxiliary cable, which I got here. And I had to get this, so I actually have enough length. This is 25 feet, which is more than enough. I have a little extra in the glove box that I'll tuck up. But this is going to allow me to basically run it from the back to the front to ultimately get plugged into the auxiliary input on this device, which I thought was on the side. Here it is. So then this will actually go all the way up to here, like so. So then I'll have audio. Because what's the point of Android Auto if I can't blast it through all the speakers that exist? So I would just say it's really important to know your install and make sure you have all the materials you need in advance before you actually begin to do the install. I'm going to immediately start to get this hooked up and configured, and I'm going to do my best to have the camera set up and show you each step of the way. So the first thing I want to do is kind of get a feel for how this will mount. And the ideal location that I want this is going to be right here, effectively. It's going to be in front of the AC vents, and it's going to be behind, not too far in the slope. And I can easily touch it to reach it up there. It would be really nice if it was here, but I don't want to block the AC vents. I certainly don't want to block the main infotainment area. And I'm going to use the suction mount to basically mount it up to the windshield. And the suction mount is this guy, and it basically hooks right on the back. So basically this guy, I got to figure out how, more than likely the way I'm going to want to have this mounted. is like so, because I'm going to want it to sit like that. So I'm going to want to pop this in. It looks like it goes in, and then you push up on it to make it hold. So now I have it in here, and then you can have all kinds of adjusters. So it does come out if you want it to, which is, I think, important, because you're not going to want necessarily to just be stuck. So you want to click in there. Here how it clicks. So now it's good. And then I'm going to basically have it kind of like that. So it doesn't obstruct my view at all. A lot of the weight is going to be on the dash. That's how I want it. So that way the suction is basically just holding it. But it can only be so long. So I gotta figure out. And looks like that's pretty much to make the angle tilt. So it's going to go back a little bit farther than I probably want it to. Let's see, what does this do actually? Oh, look. And now it's not going to have to. So you get all kinds of control on this. You're going to want to tighten up the back one here, because you don't want that sliding. And then you get this telescoping section, which is fantastic, because you don't want that moving around as you drive. So I'm just going to tighten the telescoping one nice and tight. So that's kind of how I'm beginning to have it look. And then I'm going to, yeah, this is going to work perfectly, exactly how I want it. So I'm going to try to adjust my length here next. So then I can, so my length, I'm going to want my length to be a little bit more. So I pushed it out some, and now I'm tightening the length section nice and tight. That's basically how I'm going to want it. And then I'm going to tighten this one so it doesn't slide, and it has that really forceful suction cup in it. But this is ultimately how I'm going to have mine set up on the L322. So the nice thing is the mount gives you a whole lot of control for many, many different applications, and that is effectively going to be how I have mine. That's the goal of mine. And then when I'm driving, I can still, I'm in a sitting position right now, I can still control everything, and it's not impeding my view. I mean, maybe a little bit here, but I would just be seeing the hood there, so I can still see how it all looks. You're definitely going to notice this on the outside of the car when you look through the windshield, but I mean, there's not much you can do about that. So I'm gonna suction this to the windshield now. Okay, so I'm on the other side of the car now, so I can actually maneuver a little bit better, and I'm pushing that. Man, that suction hole is tight. I'm gonna have to make a few adjustments kind of on demand here, because actually, that's pretty darn good. Like that, I'm kind of pleasantly surprised. I want to create more of a tilt-up angle. There we go. So what I'm doing is I loosen the telescoping section just so I can have a nice ability to tilt it. And then I'm going to tighten it up back here. Tighten it up on the suction cup side, nice and hand tight. Tighten that one. And that's already nice and tight. So that would basically, I'm going to keep all of the screen protecting on right now. But that would be how it's going to look. Now again, my install is a little bit special, because I have to account for the cigarette lighter adapter being in the glove box. But first, what I need to do is I need to actually probably remove all the trash. But more importantly, I have to remove the current hookup I have for the webcam. So I don't know why I have so much junk in here, but I do. And you can see there's a lot going on in my glove box. So all of this stuff, this is the main guts I got to play with, but I want to make myself a little bit more room in here. So I'm going to empty all of this junk out, which is probably all trash. And all of this is going to be relocated to the glove box. I'm not going to need any of that. So basically in here, I know it's a little dark. I'm just going to show you a quick little look. You can see I have the old cable running under that molding very easily, and then it snakes in and goes up that way. So I'm going to basically pull all of this out because the new location is going to be there. Okay, so my next step is going to be I have to get into the car the actual adapter that I need to power everything. So I have to have this guy sitting right in here. This is going to become my main cable area. I have one basically cable terminating in there, and it's going to plug in here. So I'm going to basically plug it in. I'm going to give myself some extra slack in there. I'm going to bring it out. It has to go through this little notch, and then I'm going to hook it to the seat belt here. I'm going to like zip tie it down just so it will kind of stay nice and tight. I'll find something down here I can hook it to, and I'm going to run it under here. I'm going to run it just like the other one, and then basically get it up in here. And I'm going to have to do the same with the auxiliary cable, but that cable is going to run from the back all the way to the device. This is why having those zip ties is so important. So you can see it's going in pretty good so far. I have it ran, and when this seat is in the upright position, I can even see that. I was able to come out the side. And then I tucked under this trim. It's exposed right here. That's the only area that it's currently exposed, and I'll probably Sharpie that red, black, and you won't even know. And again, when somebody's sitting there, then it goes behind this, running it underneath all of this plastic trim. There's plastic trim back here, and then I'm feeding it. I did pop this out. This is where you just get a ton of wires. This is the typical L322 wiring shenanigans. So I popped that plastic back. This is where some people could say, oh, you could tap into something here, you could do that. There's enough risk of parasitic battery drains on a stock old Land Rover. I don't want to deal with it. But I'm going to basically pop that back in, and then I'm just going to snake in, as you can see, the side. And I do have a bit of excess. So I'll just tightly wrap that with a zip tie and keep it in the glove box. But so far, pretty darn clean install. Not that difficult. You can follow any path in a car that you're doing an install to make it look good. All of this molding and stuff and trim always has gaps behind it. All right, so I have it plugged in, but before I do anything else, I want to test real quick and see if it gets power. Yep, it's powering right up. Perfect, perfect, perfect. There she is. Very nice. The camera is going. That's going. everything is cranking. So now I can finish running the wire, and then the excess I have, I'll tie off in the glove box. That looks pretty darn slick, if I say so myself. I like it. Okay, I have the wiring done. I'm going to put this seat back in the position it typically is in, which is right here. And you can see this cable is for my charger. You can see a little bit of cable here. Not a whole lot, though. A little hint here, but everything is very clean underneath. Very clean here. A little bit of black cable there, and then it follows the windshield along. So what I've did here, I've used that splitter in the glove box so I can have, an extender of cigarette light or adapters. This is going into the glove box. Then the camera's plugging into that, and then that USB port is plugging my other camera in. So I was able to achieve hooking electric up fairly easy, but I want to show you what it looks like on the windshield. You're definitely going to notice it. No doubt about that, but it is not terrible, given it's a black dash. But you can kind of see what it looks like here when you look through. But the cables are pretty darn clean from an install perspective. And then you can really see how it looks in here. And you can see everything is working exactly how I would hope for it to all function. I think sitting here I think this is nice. It's basically resting for the most part on the dash. I wish I didn't have to run the cables how I did, but again, I'm working with a 17-year-old car, a 2007. So that's just kind of what you have to deal with sometimes. So I can go ahead and begin to configure this. I'm going to do that momentarily. But I just wanted to show the install. And of course, I still have my charging cable here. I think it turned out pretty darn good. All right, so I want to go ahead and install or hook up this Android Auto to use my phone and all the good stuff that it can offer. So as you can see, I have my vehicle set to use auxiliary. That's why I heard it through the main speakers. But it first said just click Android Auto, switch to Android Auto mode. I'm going to say confirm and prompting. So this says basically turn on Bluetooth on your Android phone and select to connect to the device. So I am going to, on my Android phone, I am going to go ahead and go to Bluetooth, and then it said connect to Carpuride BT3876. So let me go back in here. I closed it. So I will go to connected devices, pair a new device, and it should come up. There it is, right there, 3876. All right, so I have it paired with my primary cell phone here, and it works just as you would expect Android Auto to work. I mean, it's pulling things off my phone. I can have various music set up. You can see I have all kinds of different music queued up in here. I can play it, and when I play it, it's going to basically be running that Pandora off of my cell phone over my car speakers, which is a really nice feature of Android Auto. So basically, you can see here with my Android Audio, it's coming out of the main speakers in the car. And it gives me exactly what I would expect. And this is all running off of the auxiliary cable that I ran in the back. So I really like that functionality. I don't notice any latency between, cut this down. I don't notice any latency between my phone connecting wirelessly to it. Everything seems to function exactly how, I would actually expect it to function. I can just type in any address that I want to go to, and it all loads the routes and queues up. I have pretty poor reception in the garage, so it's a little bit slower. But you can see here the Park School of Baltimore. I can connect, and basically it's going to give me the the navigation panel up there. Pandora's still playing. I can close that. So this is the full-fledged Android Auto screen. Everything you would expect is happening on this. I can even cast things to it. You can see that Google Maps is broadcasting through the speakers as well. Everything that you would expect to happen here ultimately is going to happen, that you would normally have within Android Auto. But I do want to exit Android Auto super quickly here. And you can see here the whole camera notion. That's a really nice camera view that you're getting. And this is recording, and it will just overwrite when it records. I do have to figure out, admittedly, how I'm going to download it. The instructions weren't as clear on that, but it looks like I can just connect to this and I can pull the videos off if I need to. I just stopped recording. I'm recording now. And you can see up here on the upper panel that, it is recording. So if you are in Android Auto and controlling it, you can know if you're recording and everything, which is a nice little feature. So, this is a pretty basic usage, but it's what you want, right? I want to be able to have my Google Maps broadcasting up here, any emails I get and everything, and that gives you an idea of what it looks like. I'll hop back out here and give you another exterior view of it. And you can see the camera. Hey, camera is right there. I'm pretty happy with this. The other cool thing is if I'm playing something on my phone's connected to this. This is connected to the car speakers, so it's broadcasting over the car speakers. But it says it has casting functionality. So if I go here, I'm on the main home screen, and I go to Android Cast, I believe... Maybe it doesn't seem to be doing anything. Android Auto is connected. Please disconnect first. So you have to be out of Android Auto, I guess, for this to work. So it would seem like, I guess I can disconnect this from Android Auto, and I could just completely cast my cell phone to this. So that's another option, I suppose. I don't know if I have a lot of use for that, but I could theoretically mirror my phone to here. I guess one could argue I could watch a video, but I don't want to do that as I'm driving. So again, this has CarPlay, Android Auto, everything you would want here to actually control what you're doing. And on your Android phone, you'd go into Android Auto and you can customize what's going to happen within Android Auto on the Carpuride. So this gives you start music automatically when you start driving. I have some stuff disabled in here, but I want message, notifications. Do you want a message chime? So this gives you the functionality of what you want to do here. But this has, everything that I was hoping to get out of this. I'm very familiar with this screen because I use it for my Ford Maverick. Android Auto, it's kind of the same. Again, I can go to tune in, it's pulling it up. If there's anything that I want to listen to, I can. And oh look, you know, my text messages are coming up and everything as well. But everything that you would expect to happen off of your phone is, I can say, oh, I want to listen to C-SPAN, and I can hit play. It's going to be a little bit slower because I'm on LTE in here, so it's going to take a second to buffer it. But basically, this is running off of my cell phone wirelessly, and it will play C-SPAN through TuneIn. It has Spotify, everything that Android Auto has to offer. And you can see, you know, C-SPAN is playing. TuneIn. I can go back and have all my other functionality as well. So what's my take on this? I like it. I think this install looks clean. It looks nice. I need to figure out how to download the driving videos. I think that will be interesting to do. It's great in terms of audio going through my car. I absolutely love, I mean, look at the difference here, guys. If I was to go to my traditional maps, I mean, I'm going from something like this right here, okay, to Google Maps. I mean, 2,000 times better. You got your Google Maps functionality versus legacy stuff. So I'm 100% a fan of this. I think it's $200 and some. I'm going to give you some links in the description to save a little bit of cash. I think it looks okay from the outside. It has a built-in webcam, and I really got this for the sole purpose, right, of having Android Auto like I have on my newer truck, and the Carpuride. It achieved that. I have it. It's easy to use, easy to set up. I have no complaints. My install was a little bit more laborious, but that's partially just because of the way that this vehicle was designed. But it's a very clean install, and the way I have it hooked up, when I cut the ignition off, it cuts off, right? So it's not going to drain batteries or anything. I'm a fan. I like it. It saved me a bunch of money from trying to replace that screen, and frankly, losing functionality that's required for Land Rover. Thank you for sponsoring me. Thank you for letting me test this. Memorial Day week, we're going out to the beach. It's going to be a long drive, so I'm really going to be able to test the connectivity with my cell phone on a 200-mile drive or so. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It means a lot to me. I hope that you found this video a bit useful, and I hope that you consider this if you want to upgrade an older car with Android Auto and getting a really nice touchscreen that I think looks really sleek and nice. Have a great day.